What's up, guys? We got Xander in the chair today, and we're gonna do something nice and fun. We're gonna do something that's very salon friendly. We're gonna establish graduation by really taking it nice and short through the sides. And I'm gonna show you guys how, by having a higher graduated weight line, it's so much easier to establish weight and fade through it. We're also gonna strengthen the front by having a stronger crop. And at the very end, we're gonna go with a descending technique to really fade this and transition this so it's nice and tight. Because as you guys notice, we have really a strong jawline through Xander's face here. And the last thing we want is all this weight and all this like puffiness, because it's really just hiding the face. We want something nice and tight and short to really bring out the features in his face. Let's get started. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you guys how to section the crop. One of the most important parts is actually starting throughout the crown. And the reason why, guys, is because we're going with the clippers. We want the hair to sit as natural as possible, because if it's reacting negatively and we cut it, it's gonna spring up. So we start with the crown because that's the most reactive place on the hair. So the first step is seeing how the hair naturally wants to sit. So I would start with bringing everything back, and you're gonna see there's gonna be a bounce. So then what we wanna do is we wanna bring it forward, and naturally you're gonna see like almost this hole in the head, okay? And that's where typically you're gonna see the cowlick. At this point, you wanna just work with the cowlick and bring everything down. And this is where you're gonna start identifying where the hair wants to sit negatively and positively. This is where it's super important to understand and identify how that looks. So if I look at the roots, if the roots have this bend to it, that means the hair wants to be a part of the top. Until it's completely sitting flat, guys, I do not move on. There we go, okay? That's sitting way more naturally than this over here. And the reason why is because it has that bounce. That bounce tells me it wants to be a part of the top. Okay, there we go. So now at this point, we want to bring everything forward because we want to isolate the parietal. And at this point, we want to bring everything forward, and we're going to follow that line all the way through the front. Okay, and we're going to bring everything down, and we're going to brush everything away. I'm going to make sure it's nice and clean. Okay, there we have it. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. If I was to cut all this through my graduation, guys, I would take way too much of a length from the crop. And the reason why that's important is because I would rather control this section right here from the area of the fringe rather from my graduation, because I'll have way more control on how I want the fringe to sit. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take a small triangular section from where that recession corner is. We're gonna bring that all the way towards the front. And because the hair is short, guys, there's no point in twisting it. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna clip that away. Boom. There you have it. That's your first panel, completely isolated and ready to be graduated. So at this point, we're gonna do the right side now. And it's a little bit higher because look at this, guys. Look how the crown wants to sit. Notice that? That tells me that wants to react positively. And the reason why is because it always has this swivel, okay? In this case, the hair has no bounce to it. That means it wants to sit that way. And this is where we're gonna take that and we're gonna bring it forward. We're gonna take that section all the way through the front. We're gonna bring this down. And that will be our next panel. I'm gonna isolate this part, and there you have it. That's it. We don't have much to cut or much to section. We're gonna come back from the front. And again, we're gonna look at it and make a decision. Is that good enough from the front? Is that completely centered? Is that exactly how the left and right side are sitting? If it is, then we move on. So that's good, guys. We got this right and left panel now completely isolated, and it's time for us to now graduate it. So again, when you're working with short hair like this, guys, it's super important to make sure that you guys are taking the necessary steps to really isolate this and get it prepared for your graduation. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you guys how to graduate it. First step, we wanna make sure that we're sectioning off the panel where it starts rounding off. So this is now part of the back. So we're gonna separate that. We're gonna bring everything forward. And like I said, how the graduation works, guys, is we wanna make sure that we're building the weight slightly on the round surface. Now, because this is gonna be a short crop, we wanna make sure that the graduated line is quite high. So very simply, we're gonna take a diagonal section. Okay, that's step one. We're gonna come back from under. We're gonna lift this and look at this slight decision of taking my fingertips outwards and making sure my knuckles are down to the head. That means are really tight to the head. We're gonna allow for such beautiful weight line to be built. And that's what's gonna allow us for a seamless transition with our clippers. So from here, boom. Okay, nice and tight, guys. Look at that, guideline. Okay, that's section 1. Section 2, boom. We drop it, we separate this panel, and now we bring it back to previous. Same process, check the guide, all the way towards the bottom. We got maybe 2 more sections left. Again, diagonal section, come from the top, over direct to previous, check the guide, make the incision. And lastly, last section here, we're gonna over direct to previous. Again, we're trying to build the weight on that round surface. Okay, make sure we're even. Okay, now you could see that buildup of weight, and if we move it forward, boom, look at that. We already established that weight line, and the clippers need to come right underneath that. All this, guys, is dead weight. We don't need it, but now we have our connecting point for the back. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the other side. We're not gonna do the back yet, and the reason why is because it's similar to the fade. You wanna start with the left, the right, and then connect with the back because it's a lot easier to connect both sides once they're both completed. Okay, so very simply, same process. Comb comes flat to the head. Where does it round off? It starts here. We're gonna separate that, boom. And now we're gonna bring everything forward. Guys, again, this is the most important part. Before you start graduation, make sure it's nice and flat. Flatten it with your hand, okay? Nice and easy, because it's gonna be way easier for us to graduate once there is nice and flat towards the head. See, and look how easy it is to section this. You're gonna bring this, again, flat to the head. That's your first section. You're gonna come from underneath and boom. Fingertips now get tighter to the head. Knuckles extend. Look at that. Nice and clean. Okay. Now pinch with your thumb, come back from the bottom, lift up, same process. Okay, that's our first line. Section number 2. Bring it back to previous. Again, pinch with your thumb, leave it, come back from the top, come back from underneath, make sure you see your cutting line and follow that process. Again, fingertips get tighter to the head, knuckles extend because we want to build that weight on that round surface. Drop, you could see that weight line, we follow that process. Okay, at this point, we're on a rounder surface towards the head. So what you want to do is you want to come back horizontally because it's going to be way easier to build that weight. And bring it back to previous. Okay, I'm gonna explain this. This is super important to understand. Guys, why am I horizontal in this area of the head rather than vertical? Why am I cutting this horizontally in here rather than in here? I was more on an angle, right? The reason why is because we have a rounder surface. That means if I started cutting vertically or slightly more on the vertical, what would end up happening is I would lose way too much weight and this area would actually look thinner, right? So the reason why we wanted to make sure we had consistency throughout this entire area is by actually being more horizontal and building that weight, given the fact that the head rounds off in this corner. So again, we cut it this way vertically, so slightly vertical, mostly on the diagonal, 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 and then we pivot into something more horizontal, because now if we drop it, look at this, boom, we have symmetry. And if we brush it forward, we still have a bit of that weight line, which is going to transition into the crop. Here's how I could show you guys what that weight line looks like, okay? Because all this is going to be quite short. What's the point of doing all this when you're going to go into it with the clippers? The whole point is actually because it saves you so much time, because now you've established that weight line. You know where your clipper has to come off. Look at that. Look how easy that is. This is exactly where your clipper needs to come off. So now we have our guideline from the corner. We're gonna bring it back diagonally, guys. And there we have it. We're just gonna connect this in. Same process throughout. Guys, at this point, we're just connecting the line, and the reason why is because what ends up happening in this area doesn't happen as often, is that these links are way too short. But what we know is that we still need to establish a bit of that weight. So I need to almost visually connect this by just elevating the hair and just reducing it where it's flat all throughout the flat surface of the head. Okay, so now we're just making sure this is a round cutting line leading up to the sides. Okay, that's all we're doing here. Okay, I'm just making sure it's nice and round so that we have a nice connecting line to the side. Simple as that. Okay, again, because this is already very round, we're just almost visually trying to build that way through the back, because whoever cut it last cut it way too short. It's almost like they went and what we like to say is snatch the crown off. So we just now need to visually build some of that weight. See, it's not going to be as apparent as both left and right side, and the reason why is because it's still quite round in this area. Okay, so now we get into the most important part of the haircut, at least one of them, how to actually do the fringe. Now, what did we mention? We said that we want a stronger fringe for Xander. And the reason why, guys, is because we want to really open up the face. We don't want something puffy. We want something nice and tight and something that's going to be easy for him to manage. He mentioned that he has issues styling. His hair gets quite puffy and dry, and he feels, again, he said this, when it's shorter, his face looks a lot better. He said that with his own words. And the reason why is because he has strong facial features, and when you have puffiness on top, it does the opposite. It really hides his features. So the first step, we're going to start from the front. And here's the thing that people don't do. Okay, guys, listen very, very closely here. This one trick is going to save you so much headaches, and it's going to make your job way easier. Very simply, when you're doing the fringe, just get the head to get closer towards you. At this point, then I could bring it slightly towards me this way, and look at this. I'm completely free. I can move around however I want, and it's gonna be way easier for me to cut the fringe. So step one is make sure that everything goes the opposite direction of how you're gonna cut it. Why? Because look at this. Look how easy it's gonna be for me to just take my first section, guys. And this is where you guys go mostly wrong. This is how simple it is. Make sure the head's closer towards you. Now I have free range of cutting this. And the first section, look at this. We have our guideline. Our guideline is from the graduation that we cut, going all the way towards the front, bring it all down. And guys, look how easy this is gonna be. From here, look at this. We said our guidelines here. We drop it and we connect. Okay, drop, tap, connect. Beautiful, nice and easy, okay? We're gonna do that now with section two. Section two comes back into one, and there's not much left to connect. And we're gonna come from here, guys, and look at this, nice and clean and precise. Come back from the top, tap. That side's done. We're gonna move on towards the other side, and look how clean that looks, nice straight line. But this is not where we're done, guys, because this is sitting quite heavy compared to the sides. This is where we're gonna go back and layer this and really soften it so that line sits more flush. This is gonna be a beautiful haircut by the end of it. Okay, next section, we move everything back the opposite way. Okay, again, look how I'm styling this towards the opposite way. Again, my hand's completely flat to the head because the moisture will allow for way more control. Get closer to my head, face. Yep, boom, look at that. Super easy. We see our guide, and we're just gonna follow that all the way through. We're just gonna drop all this, and voila. Okay, now we're gonna bring everything down and make sure the head is nice and straight. Tap, look at that, connect. And you see, we don't even need clips, guys, because the moisture in the hair is allowing us to have control, and it's allowing us to just make it sit there naturally. At this point, we don't follow this line all the way through because we'll end up cutting into the corner. So what we want to do is we want to lift, and look at that. Connect the graduation to the fringe. There you have it. Next section, section two. Drop all of that down. And now, guys, look how beautiful this is going to be. Body position comes down. Beautiful straight line. This is one of my favorite haircuts to do. Now we're gonna come back, we're gonna elevate, and we're just gonna connect. At this point, guys, we go back, we bring everything down, and look at that. Whatever's left, we're gonna come back from the front, and this is where we'll just connect that in. Okay, from here, guys, this is where the fringe is sitting quite heavy, but this is where we're not done. This is where we go back into our layer, and we remove some of that weight from cutting the top. Okay, so now, as I mentioned before, guys, what do we have? We have a very heavy fringe. Guess what happens? A lot of you guys will go and put your liners in, keep it really heavy, and forget about layering the front. The last thing you want, if we look through the sides, guys, is this kind of heavy bulge. That doesn't look suitable, okay? We want something that's gonna sit flush, and all you have to do is a very simple technique, is just by through your layer going round vertically. That's what's gonna allow it to sit very flush to the head. So look how I do this, because this is how you turn from a barber to a stylist, okay? We're gonna bring the head this way. We're gonna bring everything forward. We're gonna separate this left. Here we go. Down the profile, guys. Separate this left and right panel nice and clean. And then we're gonna come back from here and I'm gonna show you guys how to connect this. We're gonna pinch, we're gonna grab, and look at that. That's your weight that you don't want, okay? Your shortest, longest length, and we're just gonna cut that completely round. I'm gonna come back again, okay? Shortest, longest length, nice and flush to the head. Look how beautiful this is gonna sit. You could already tell, okay? We take that section, we separate it now. We're gonna follow this all the way through the corner, okay? Look at this. We're here, I'm gonna follow this all the way through that corner. Boom. Okay, section 2 and 1 now. Look at this. Pinch. Now, I want to make sure when I'm looking at the roots, guys, that it's closest towards me. Look at that. Right here. Boom. Okay, drop, separate, follow. Okay, keep following all the way through. Okay, all the way through that corner. Okay, look at that. See that corner? Boom. Make sure we see the guide. Look at it. We're going to find the guide. Guide's right there. Okay, one last section before we end up cutting some of the graduation. And look at that. And guys, I want to show you now. Look at the difference between how this is sitting. Okay, and imagine once we hit it with the liners. Look at the difference between this. And look at the difference if we look through the sides. Look at the difference here. Look how flush that's sitting, guys, compared to, notice that this is where 99% of barbers go wrong. That is too much weight. That is the perfect amount of weight. Nice and flush. We could even keep all this texture if we wanted because the fringe is soft and it's gonna sit nice and tight. We could keep all this length if we wanted to play with it, but I still think we should reduce it given the fact that it's quite puffy. But this is where, if you nail this, you could pop a nice outline. It's gonna sit nice and flush. It's gonna look beautiful. It's gonna look symmetric. It's gonna literally look like a piece of art. And you could get funky in the back. But a lot of you guys get funky in the back and get way too funky in the front. It looks like a helmet on his head. This is called the Edgar cut that most people do, right? But this is a suitable haircut. This is a fashionable haircut, and he's a model that he could walk the runway with a haircut like this. Okay, now, same process on the other side. So my body position does not change. And what's very important for you guys to know, the way I'm standing. I need to stand here because if I stand here, and this is where you guys gotta be conscious, look how awkward it is for me to go round. Look, this is exactly how I would have to cut it. But if I stand here, look how easy it is for me to cut round. So whether you're lefty or right, when you're picking this up, your right hand needs to be lower. If it's higher, move the other way. This other side, if it's higher, that means it's the wrong way of cutting it. And most likely you're not gonna cut it round because it's awkward. So you gotta stand on the right side. For me, I'm a right hand, I'm on the right side when cutting a round shape. If you're a lefty, you're gonna be on the left side. Cool. So now same process, we go back down the middle, our guideline's already in here, and we follow that same process. But the difference is when I pick this up and pinch it, look at the direction of the comb. Okay, outer. Why? Because it's got to go round. Got to follow the head shape. Nice and precise. This might take a little bit more time, but this time that you take doing this will save you so much because the fade, guys, this is what I mean. Your fading should take 5 minutes, not longer, 5 minutes. And the reason why is because you've established the weight. The fading is the easiest part, okay? Boom, grab, full control. Nice, beautiful cutting line. Okay, look at the head position. Again, it's comfortable for me. Slightly uncomfortable for him, but I got less than 2 minutes before I'm done. Okay, bring that again, nice and round. Cutting line. Okay, now I'll go salon speed. This is how I would cut at the salon. Drop, guideline. One more section, just to make sure it's nice and connected. Beautiful. I love it. Again, it's not straight yet because we got to hit the outliners with it. But once we hit the outliners with it, it's going to sit beautifully. Okay, so now we could go back and we could focus on our layer. And here's where it gets fun because we don't have to cut this vertically. We could cut it horizontally because we have our guideline now, guys. And because it's already so short, it becomes very difficult to cut this vertically. You can, but I would prefer cutting this horizontally given the fact that it's quite short. And it's gonna be a lot faster for me to do it. So let me show you how that's done. Okay, first step, we're gonna bring it down. So let me show you guys how to layer the crop. So at this point, we have our guideline because we've done the crop. And now we're gonna use that to go ahead and cut the layer. What's very important for you guys to know, can I cut this vertically? Absolutely. But because the hair is short, it becomes quite difficult to pick this up vertically. And I would rather control more of the roundness through the side and picking it up vertically. And especially if you're at the salon, this is the fastest way to do it. And we could do it while still maintaining a beautiful layer that's connecting the front. Let me show you how. Step one, we're gonna go back into where our crop was, but we're gonna leave about 2 inches, okay? This is where our guideline is gonna come in, okay? At this point, we're gonna go horizontally and lift this up. Okay, nothing to cut here because that was our crop. That was how we did our line technique. So we keep moving on, okay? This is how you should end up, okay? This is your first horizontal section. You pick this up, and again, we're gonna cut it round vertically and horizontally. And we're gonna layer this, okay? We're gonna make sure this is nice and round, okay? Guidelines in here. There we have it. Okay, drop it and take our next section. Next section, again, look at our guidelines in here. Boom. See, this is where it's gonna get heavier. And again, guys, we don't wanna go all the way towards the middle. We wanna just do one side and then we're gonna move on towards the left side. There we go. Drop it. Beautiful. Okay, separate, bring it forward, and take our next section. Bring it back. Guideline. Okay, now you're probably wondering, like, this is probably a technique you guys have done for a long time. You know the technique that people go boop, 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 boop. Well, that's exactly what we're doing, but we're just doing it with a bit more precision. And how we're doing it is by taking subsections, bringing it forward, and making sure we have all the exact lengths that we're following from our previous. Again, I'm just taking my time because I'm educating you guys on how to do this. But this entire haircut should take you guys 30 to 45 minutes at most, okay? Now I'm gonna break it down. 30 to 45 minutes, how is your graduation should take you 5 minutes tops. Your layer should take 3-4 minutes tops. Your crop should take you 2 minutes. I mean, your fringe should take 2 minutes. So let's knock out 10 minutes for the shape and the scissor work. Then you have about 20 more minutes to do the fade, the styling, and the lineup, okay? So again, this looks like it's quite long because I'm educating you guys as I'm doing this and I'm really taking my time. But this process when I'm in the salon is a very, very fast process, okay? So again, nothing left to connect. Let's drop it down. And here's something that I want to let you guys know. We didn't go ahead and cut all this. That corner is our graduation. If I did that, then there would be no point in me graduating the hair through the sides. But now if we bring this forward, look at that. We still have our graduation. We still have our lineup. We still have to connect this. But look how flat and flush that's sitting. That's exactly what we wanted. And once we pop in that fade, that's gonna turn out insanely nice. We're gonna have such beautiful symmetry throughout the hair. Okay, we move on towards the other side. Okay, so same process, both sides, guys. I'm just showing you now a bit faster on how to do it. And that's it. We've already done the layer. Okay, we now could go back from the middle. Okay, and this is where the process gets a little bit faster. And all we're doing here is just making sure it's nice and even, okay? That's all. We got maybe 10 seconds left. And there we have it, okay? The layer is done. And now we're gonna blow dry it, style it, and see how this is all gonna come together once we start our fading process. Beautiful. All right, so almost at the last stage here, we're gonna put some product. We're gonna put almost like this creamy paste, because the last thing I want is for this to really expand. This is gonna allow us to condense it while still having some control over the style. And another thing that's important for you guys to know, you're probably wondering, well, Alex, why the hell are you putting product before starting the clipper work? Is because the clipper work, guys, is just shoveling snow. Put it in that intention. Everything is done. We're just getting rid of the snow. That's the last piece of the puzzle. So we're gonna style it, get it all prepped up, and then we're gonna go into the clipper work. And at the very end, if I still feel like it's puffy, I can put a bit of cream, hairspray it, call it a finale. So I'm gonna put some product, I'm gonna style it up, blow dry it, and we shall start our fade. So step one, pea size amount. And we wanna put the product when the hair is wet, because it's gonna dilute within the hair. Rather than when it's dry, it's gonna sit on top, okay? We wanna make sure, again, that it's spread properly. We don't almost wanna see it in our hands, but we wanna feel it. So it's almost gotta disappear. And this is where we could go internally now, just like this, especially through the front, because that's gonna allow us to really have control over how it's gonna sit with our outliner. So again, you could now see it's on the hair and in the hair, and then we will start our blow drying process. Okay, so now we're gonna get into the blow drying. What's very important to understand with the blow dry, guys, is the brush is gonna style it. This is gonna dry it. A lot of the times what I tend to see is you guys think that this is drying the hair. So we want this to push the hair, and we want this to move the hair, okay? So step one, everything has to be a system. We started graduating the sides. We're gonna start blow drying with the sides. Then we went into the fringe, where they're gonna go into the fringe, and then we're gonna go into the top, okay? Step one, speed level 3, heat level 2. Position of the head. So come down with it first. Now brush it forward. Come down with it first. Brush it forward. Okay? Until there's nothing left and you guys could feel that it's getting really dry. Okay, now we do the back. Same process. And now we do the other side. Again, it's not going to take us long to blow dry because there it's quite short. Okay, at this point, now we're going to come back from the front and look how I blow dry this. Everything comes forward and then we're going to go side to side. There we have it. So at this point, we could still see a bit of dampness, but that's okay because, like I said, I don't want this to be fully dry yet. We're still gonna spend some time with the clipper work, and because I just don't want this to be really puffy, okay? So we're just gonna allow this to naturally sit, and then once we are fully done with the clipper work, we could always go back into it. But right now, this is looking really good, guys. Again, we could see that shape. It's gonna look beautiful. And then all that's left is that outline, but we could really see that weight through that side. That's really establishing that nice and square shape. And all that's missing is a beautiful fade to transition into our graduation. All right, so now we're gonna get into the fade. I'm very simply gonna show you guys how to do a descending technique. Now you're probably wondering, well, Alex, why a descending technique on his hair? First of all, the fade is gonna be a horizontal line that's gonna go all the way through because it's gonna be somewhat of a higher fade. And because the hair is quite fine and it's blonde, I don't wanna take this too tight to my graduated weight line. And the reason behind it is if it is, it's gonna look way too heavy of a line. We want something that's gonna have a transition, that's gonna be able to stretch so that this way we could really see the gradient effect leading up to the length on top. Okay, so let me show you guys how to do this by first showing you how to do the body positioning. So first step, guys, is body positioning. What's very important is making sure that the body positioning is completely parallel to the head. Again, I can't do this right now because I got to show you guys through video, but when we're cutting this, I'm pretty much parallel to the head. Okay, step two, this tends to happen way too often, is, guys, you need to make sure the head positioning is doing this. Why? Because if it's doing this and it's completely straight, you're gonna build way too harsh of a line. We wanna come off the head, and this is gonna allow us to do that. So body positioning, parallel to the head away from us, okay? We wanna make sure lighting is hitting the hair so we're able to see it, and then we can start the process. So for you gotta check 3 things. You gotta make sure 1, parallel to the head, 2, away from the head, and 3, is lighting good. Those are your 3 check marks before you start. Okay, so the next step, guys, is we wanna make sure that the clipper is coming off the head. And how we're gonna come off the head is very simply by looking at where the graduated line is. So I'm gonna do this slowly so you guys get an understanding of how I'm doing it. So step 1, turn it on. Closed guard. Number 3, we wanna establish our weight line with our clippers. Look at this, guys. Coming off the head into our graduated weight line. Okay, boom, that's done. Why? Because our weight line did most of the work. Look at that. Super simple, super easy. That corner is done. We move on. See, this corner is done. The middle's done. And all that's left is the front. But this is where it gets interesting. This is where most of you guys go wrong. Because we're going tighter in the fringe, I want to make sure I'm parallel and I'm round as well. There you guys have it. Okay, brush that down, and now we can make sure that it's nice and clean. Okay, same process, guys. Okay, number 3, right into our graduated line. Okay, brush it forward. There we go. Okay, now we could go and shovel the rest and make sure we have symmetry all the way throughout. Okay, so now we see a bit of a weight line through the crown. Bring it down. Okay, number 3 is done. We're gonna go in with our number 2, and then we're gonna go in with our balding line. Okay, at this point, number 2 goes right underneath our 3. Same process. Okay, same process on the other side as well. We're just going with our number 2. 2 and 3 follow the same rules, guys. Nothing really changes here. Okay, so now we're gonna put a balding line. So what's important to understand how we put the balding line, guys, is we wanna make sure it's horizontal. So if I take it too high, look at where the graduated line is. We wanna be about 4 fingers. So my balding line has to be along here because I need to make sure I'm stretching this. If we take it 3 fingers, look how much space I have, especially because the hair is blonde and fine. Guess what happens? It becomes way too tight. So we want this to be almost even 4.5, just to give us enough space to really fade this in. So there we go. Same process, guys, on the other side. And again, now we're gonna know exactly how to connect it because we have our guide from the other side. And what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna connect left and right panel. Okay, so at this point, guys, I'm gonna show you guys how to use the foil shaver. I get this a lot, but it's very simple. You get 3 lengths from it, okay? You get down, up, and then side to side. This shouldn't take you more than 3 minutes as well. So the first thing you wanna do is we wanna go with the grain. We wanna be about 1/2 inch down. And all we're doing is prepping it so when we go up with the foils, it's a seamless transition. So now, because it's actually a smaller space, I'm not gonna use the entire foils. We're gonna go up with it. And we're gonna go side to side and round to round just to make sure it transitions nicely into the line. Okay, same process leading up to the back. Okay, so now we're gonna get into our fading process. We have the foundation set. We got into this point, we built the structure of the house. Now it's time to shovel snow, okay? But it's very important, a few things. There's a few pointers here that are very important to know before we start this fade. This is a descending method. So we go with the number 3, number 2, number 1, open, close, okay? You only really need those guards. You could go with the 1.5 later if you wanna just refine. But the 1.5 guard and your 0.5 guard are called your personalizing guards. You don't need them, but but you could use them to get that extra crisp Instagram picture video. Step one, I'm gonna brush this forward and we're gonna go with our 1.5. I wanna show you guys as an example of how this process works. We went with our number 2. Then what we're gonna do, we're gonna go with 1.5. That means our 1 open. When I say 1.5, I mean my 1 open is gonna sit right underneath our number 2. Our 1 close is then gonna sit right underneath our 1 open. And then our open is gonna sit right underneath our 1 close, and our close sits right underneath our open. This is the step. Now at the very end, we're gonna use the corners of the clipper to refine, but very simply guys, 1.5, 1 close, open, close, okay? And the process is this. This is exactly all moving throughout the head. Close, same process, boom, 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 systemize. Open, boom, 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 systemize. See, my arm is the same motion. My wrist doesn't move. You guys have a lot of wrist movements because this is where the inconsistencies happen. And as you get towards the back, your body needs to shift because we're on a rounder surface. So again, this is exactly the movement, okay? Now, what's also important is making sure with your eye you understand the areas of the hair and head where you have density and where you have less. So you have more density and less density. In this area, we have less density. That means you're not going to be doing this as much as you would in this area, which is darker. The darker areas, you're going to have to spend a little bit more time. The finer areas, you're not going to have to spend as much time, okay? So you need to also visually look at how this is looking as you go through the motion. So 1 open, guys, look, what do we say? Less dense, more time, less time. Open sits right underneath our 2. See, now I'm spending a little bit more time, and now we move on. At this point, I can use a bit more of the corners because, again, this is more visual. Okay, boom, done. This side is done, completely closed. Close sits right underneath our open. But again, look how much more time I'm gonna spend here as I'm gonna spend here. I'm done. Look at this, open. My open, again, way more dense here. I'm gonna spend more time here. Okay, I'm gonna spend less time here. And my close, spend a little bit more time here. This is where we're getting a bit more balance. And there we almost have it. That's kind of like your 70% of your fade. I'll go back with my open now. I'll use a bit more of the corners. I'll close it, stretch it a little bit more, take it slightly higher. Brush down, go back with my open. There you guys have it. Look at that. Fade is done. Do not overcomplicate it. Use a system, but also look with your eyes as you're doing this. Look how easy and simple it is. This is our descending graduated fade. Okay, we move on to the other side, guys, and you could already see how we're gonna pop that outline. Beautiful. Let's move on. Same process. This is where it's very important. You guys have to look at the hair. What do you notice? It's not lighter in this area than this area. That's the difference. Not every side is gonna be exactly the same. So we wanna make sure that when we're doing this, we're looking at this visually while still having the technique and system to guide us. Don't let the technique and system be the only thing you use to be able to go and cut the hair. You have to also look at it visually and make a decision as you're doing this. Okay, same process, guys. You know the drill. 1 open all the way to my number 2. Okay, use a bit of the corners. It's slightly darker in this area. Okay, now my 1 close. Okay, this area is slightly patchier, so I'm not gonna spend as much time. I'm not gonna take the risk. Okay, there's speed to this, guys. There's also speed. Okay, open right underneath my 1 close. Okay, look at the process, guys. Follow the same exact steps. Again, this is a lot patchier in this area. That means I can't take it as high. Slightly darker in here. Okay, slightly close now. I'm gonna stretch it out a little bit more and completely close. Okay, lighting helps tremendously because we could really see the inconsistencies. Okay, I can still see the inconsistencies. This is where the corners come into play. Okay, open back up. Slightly close. Completely close. Okay, last part was a little visual. We have a bit of an indent in here. We're gonna refine some with my scissor over comb, but guess what, guys? We're about 60 to 70% done. The last finale, we do the back. Again, right side, left side, back, way easier to transition. Here we go. Okay, we'll start with the right corner first. Open, close, Okay, bring it down. Okay, we can see it a lot better now. Go back with my open. Slightly close. Okay, I'll go back with my open. Completely close. Go back with my open. Completely close. Push down. Slightly close. Completely close. Again, this fade shouldn't take more than 5 to 10 minutes, guys. We're almost done here. We still got obviously some to refine, but that last 70 to 80% is where I spend the most amount of time. Now we're connecting it between the left and right side. A bit more indents in here, so we kind of have to play with it. Go back with my open. See, slightly darker in here. This is where my close comes into play. Now I'll go back with my open. Slightly close and completely close. Same process on the other side. Almost done here. Go back with my open. Okay, there we go, guys. We're almost at the last stretch. Again, I'm gonna use light now to really see where we could go back and refine. This is how we turn it to 100%, okay? This is where the corners come into play. We look at where we're noticing divots. So see, that's a small line. Go back with my close. Take it slightly higher. That's an open. Okay, and this comes through experience, okay? This is years of experience identifying, okay, what length is that? And okay, what length do I need to have to go over that? Okay, that takes time and practice. And this is where, again, you have the systems. Now you got to just keep doing it every single day. This doesn't come in a week or 2 weeks. This is repetition after repetition after repetition. This is years of me doing 20 haircuts a day that have led to that. Okay, go back with my open. Okay, guys, we're almost at that last stretch. I will still refine some of the fade, but I really want to get into the lineup, and then that's where everything will just come into place. Okay, guys, so now we're going to do the lineup process of the crop. Okay, so now, guys, we're going to bring everything down, and you're going to see naturally that there's this curve. That's what we want to use when it comes to the lineup, and you could already see where it ends. So we're just going to go and connect it that way. I'm going to come in from here. I'm going to use the corners all the way leading up to the front. Tap, tap, tap. Okay, boom, that's done. And now we're gonna go ahead and just line this up and then connect to the actual C cup. Cool, first step. Then we wanna come in slightly inside. So we just wanna go maybe 1/2 inch within, just to refine the line. And just follow that all the way leading up to the front, okay? From here, we want to come at a slight angle to give the illusion that it's nice and square. So I'm going to go ahead, refine a little bit more, and there you go. We just want to keep it as natural as possible and make sure that we could really see that lineup. Okay, guys, now notice how it's nice and flush from the right side with the lineup leading up to the left, okay? We have something that's really transitioning beautifully into the front, which is exactly what we wanted. And we're gonna do the same thing on this other side, okay? So we're gonna bring everything down, and we're gonna start down the middle now, okay? And here we go. Okay, now we move on towards this side, and we want to just do the hook and then match it with the straight line through the corner. Okay, guys, so at this point, we're just going to refine some of the weight in here just because it's sitting slightly heavier, and that's going to be my 1.5 open just to reduce. There we go. Okay, we're not done. We still gotta obviously use our straight blade to really refine that line, but so far we're at 90% done. This is the final touches where we really make everything stand out. We still gotta refine a little bit more of the fade, but so far it's looking nice and clean. Okay guys, so now we're at the lineup part of the crop, and all we're gonna do is we're just gonna connect what we already did. Okay, so again, slight movements. We're not trying to take this too deep or too inside because we want to keep this as natural as possible. And then from here, same thing on the other side. Okay guys, so this is my final look on Xander, and as you guys notice, we have a beautiful transition from the fringe leading up to the sides, and we have something that goes round with some graduation that really establishes that nice square shape through the sides. There you guys have it, nice skin fade leading up to that beautiful graduated look. Hope you guys enjoyed it.